Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Rocking. Yes, I'm still recording episodes. I'm finishing this 2023 strong as best I can. Finally, COVID free. If you listen to the last couple, two out of the last three episodes, no mask. This episode, COVID free and extra burst of energy, extra kind of quote unquote high on life, you would say. Uh, but I appreciate all the love and support that you guys been showing throughout the years, this year and for the last 3 years, and going on almost year four in January is coming up. So again, thank you for rocking. Uh, Follow the podcast on uh, Instagram at the Social Work Ranch Podcast, also on Facebook, aka Meta, type in the Social Work Rants podcast, hit that like button. You Twitter at Social Work Rants, even though no Elon, he's getting me upset because I having all these bots following me on Twitter, and I always got to like spend more time deleting all the bots than following the content that's on Twitter. Then like Elon, get it together, bro. Um, but yeah, hit that like, of course, the YouTube, hit that red subscribe button. If you listen to the audio, um, share, like, subscribe to the podcast, however you listen to podcasts all throughout the world. And so my guest had this disclaimer before I introduce my guest, because I always forget this disclaimer. This podcast is not to be used as a substitute for therapy. If you need assistance, there's 988. There's 911. If you have a therapist, contact your therapist. If you have a psychiatrist, contact your psychiatrist. If you got to go to the ER, go to the ER. For all my viewers and listeners outside of the US, whatever your emergency contact is and you need assistance, please use that. It's okay not to be okay, especially with many of us are going through seasonal affective disorder, and grief and loss is a big thing this time of year. So definitely it's okay not to be okay, but get the help that you need. My guest at this time, Matthew DeCarlo, St. Joseph's University out in Philly. This is a long time coming. If you guys been following and listening, been shooting my shot since 2020, and I scored a basket with this episode. So Matthew, how you doing, my friend?
I'm really good. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. Did I
No.
miss a bunch of emails from 2020? Like I would have been here before.
But just in general, like just been reaching out to people, and kind of like different people have been like reaching out, and some people said yes, some people didn't respond to emails or DMs. So like just trying and try to give the listenership and the viewership just an education from a social work background. And we do more than remove kids away. We do more than private practice. We do a whole lot of a gamut of different things, and the way our political climate is, and just our society is right now. There'll be more case management stuff that practitioners will need to do, and I've brought that up several times on the podcast, and will continue to do, because
hmm
there's a lot more people going to be unfortunately homeless. There's insurance going on right now with Medicaid recertifications, and that's been a complete disaster this year. So we could kind of get into all that, but
Right.
uh, so just Matthew, let people know who you are, what you do in our wonderful space of social work.
Hey, again, very honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So I am currently the MSW Program Director at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. After taking this job here, I found out there are a number of St. Joseph's universities, one of which also already has an MSW program,
Mm.
which is in a different state. So I am at the St. Joseph's University that straddles the line between the city of Philadelphia, where we have two campuses, and then also Delaware County, Pennsylvania. And so we are a Jesuit university, but I have been kicking around higher ed in social work for about the past decade
Mm.
after I graduated from BCU, which is where I got my PhD. Before that, I went to Mason for my MSW, and then my postgraduate practice was in dual diagnosis work and housing first and therapeutic communities. So did that for about 2 years and then got very, 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 very fed up with the 5 policies that I was allowed to use to help my clients because they didn't work very well. And so went back to become a policy analyst and
Mm.
do policy analysis work and didn't really find a sort of home for that work and ended up finding a home for it inside of sort of like activism and creating your own sort of advocacy and organization initiatives and stuff. So the first one that I did, and one that I think probably has had the most impact at this point, is Open Social Work. So I'm the co-founder of that initiative. It focuses on open education, which is basically trying to make MSW education as affordable as possible, with obviously the equity implications that come along with that, as well as like going at issues of like cognitive justice, epistemic erasure, and all of that stuff as well. I've authored 2 open textbooks, which are free, openly licensed textbooks that have saved students over like $500,000 because their research methods textbooks aren't very good, but they're still definitely $200.
Yeah,
So
for real.
I also do some work. By the way, professors don't really like them either, and so like it's actually been really easy to get people to switch because no one actually likes the research methods textbook, and yeah, no one likes translating somebody else's like anyway. So I do a little bit of that, and right now I do some consulting work for just like different open textbook projects inside of social work and human development and family services. I also do some work in open access and open science as well as part of those as part of open social work. And I'm also pretty involved in Stop ASWB and payments for placements as social movements. Everybody got really interested in all of my like academic like areas of interest over the past 3 years, and so with that very small part of the speaking about that very small part of the world, it's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely a proud stop SWB with a passion. And I get the other side, but it's like you can't change the answers to from 4 answers to 3, and but it's still culturally biased exam is like the fundamentals of the exam needs to change, and people were constantly still failing. I see more successful stories, but still like just the fundamental purpose of the the exam, and gotta wait 90 days if you fail, and so you can literally say you fail it 4 times, by the end of the year, it could be spending almost like over $1,000 in one year if you take it every 90 days or whatever. So, or potentially like
Yeah.
so it's all about money. And I had a professor, God rest his soul, who mentioned that it's all a money grab, and he was right.
Oh, who's the professor, if I might ask?
Dr. Edgar Tyson, the founder of hip hop therapy.
Oh, right on. Oh,
Yeah.
cool, cool. I didn't realize he studied it. That's super cool.
Yeah. So tortured me for during a research class during the summer, but I appreciate it after the fact.
Research classes don't have to be torturous. They're really fun.
If
So
it's
like my
crammed during
favorite
the
part.
summer, then yes, it is.
So like the cool thing about the research class that I'm going to be doing this spring. So like one of the reasons I like being a program director is I get to do all of the curricular projects that I would really like to do. This past spring, in spring of 2023, we did a national study with payments for placements. St. Joe's like helped with the data collection for that. LaSalle University, where I was formerly at, and one of our collaborators. is that also helped. And so we got data on basically the basic needs insecurity. So like food insecurity, housing insecurity, diagnosable anxiety, depression, burnout, and just basically the as representative of national statistics as we could find. So because I like open practices are good, like we plan on making that data openly licensed. And because I write the research book, that's going to be the stats examples in the research book.
Mm,
And so my students will sort of work on that as a like remixing project, and we'll sort of work on resources together that like go over some of these factors, and like students can say like this is a hypothesis that I had, and like this is what I did, and this is how I did it, and if you wanted to do the same, this is how you would use that data. And so to try and
mm,
make some of these examples, because you can control the textbook itself, you can insert some of those things to make those textbooks a little bit more engaging
right.
and less making your summer a living hell.
Now I like so so I know you mentioned open education, no open textbook. Is that always been in existence? That's something you were doing that you've been doing or you created? Like what's the background behind that concept?
Like everything, it's contested, but it definitely didn't start with me.
Okay.
No one maintains that. So I was just the first person flopping around in this space in social work in this country.
Mm,
There have been open social work programs at different universities, zero textbook cost initiatives at other schools. Um, but the North American like movement began with sort of the open access movement and the idea that free access to information was a human right, and that was necessary to protect and make the arguments for the existence of other rights. So that sort of movement, along with the open source software movement, you saw some of like the early initiatives were like MIT Open Courseware, which is basically all of MIT's courseware is up on its
mm,
website and you can remix it for free. Unfortunately, they don't have a social work program, so we missed that boat. Um, and so that's sort of how it's gone, though. So like you've had a lot of these initiatives that I think the OpenStax, which is the biggest open textbook publisher out of Rice University, they're a nonprofit, as is most open textbook initiatives. They've saved students billions of dollars just because they don't have to buy the $200 History 101 textbook or History 200
mm,
textbook. And so the challenge has been, what does that mean in a smaller discipline like social work? What does
mm.
that mean in a discipline where we don't have high enrollment courses and it takes like a lot of people to come together to create a textbook? Um, yeah, that's a fun problem to try and solve.
No, I like that. Like, what made you get into that?
Despite, you know, whatever you're motivated by, it's mostly
Mm,
like I really, really disliked having to translate, the research textbook that we used into terms that students could understand. And I felt like I was just wasting my time doing that.
mm,
And, we had a librarian who came to our faculty meeting one day to do a presentation from the Open Education Network, which does presentations like at like hundreds of campuses across the United States and across the world, actually. So they did their presentation. Everybody was like, "That's an awesome idea. Socially just textbooks. Like
mm,
that would be awesome. Too bad there's no social work books." And they weren't wrong, but there were research methods books, and
mm.
sociology research methods, social work research methods. It worked. Uh,
Nah,
it was uh, it was a years long process to try and sort of take it from one discipline to another. I got a lot of
mm.
feedback from students, but it's been really fun.
No, that's very fascinating. It's definitely with the cost of education keep going up and everything related to student loans and for us, particularly in social work, that are fighting our especially Mohilia, whatever the hell you want to call them, and it's
They
like
sued the government just to collect our money. Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story about Mohilia. So last week I got like 5 different letters from Mohilia. They emailed me.
too. I just got those. I'm not even messing around.
And I was like, so I got the email that they contacted me. I was like, don't tell. Well, first I was like, don't want to get ahead of myself. I was like, this cannot be another Christmas miracle. I already had a Christmas miracle once in 2020. I was like, tell me my loan's gonna be. Well, like, hold on, let me see these emails. So I go, it's like five different letters, and literally go one by one. One was like, we need W-2s from a job from 2014. I was like, you idiots! I file my taxes every year. It's already public record. Like, just go the IRS website and put two and two together. Like, why I have to give you more info? So that
This is the second time Mohila has incorrectly read the dates on my stuff to like they were supposed to like certify my thing, and I got three notices in the mail that they said that I'm still working at VCU even
oh
though
my
I
god!
worked there when I was in grad school
And so I got another
because they
one.
took the signature date as the end date.
Oh my god, ridiculous! And then I
Oh,
got another one that was like, they actually good news is they actually increased my payments. So I had like 64 credited towards my 120, and now it went up to like 82.
yes,
And the
that
best part,
IDR just
and the best part is I have total 156 total qualifying credits, which is way more than the 120. So 2024 knock on is the year I'll be done as long as Mohelia does what they need to do.
me too. Me too. Same here.
And
I
I'm
we
on
got to get that
and I'm
we
on
got
the
to get
save
that PSLF
program, and
clearance.
they're not getting a dime from me. So I like zero payments, and that's credited to my account. So I made one payment because for interest. After that was like, I don't gotta pay you no more money. I'm not giving you a cent. So
Oh,
pay
absolutely.
pay mine off.
We have got to get the PSLF payoff shorter. Like 10 years is so long. And like it would not have been possible without that, like without the pandemic and without that pause, at least for me and my family. Like
Right.
we're two social workers with two kids in like the Philly suburbs. It's not great. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah,
I've heard that COVID pause that's not actually going to be in effect, and that keeps changing because it was supposed to be this year, but I heard the latest news I heard is like the summer of next year. They're going to add
yeah, I
those
don't think they're
potential three
allowed to
years.
penalize you. I don't know. I feel like people should look this up if they're
You could just research it, go like studentaid.gov, and it should tell you the info. With it, I think there's still time to do the save plan if you want to do that to save, literally save money that you don't have to be giving the government or I seen so many people was like, I'm not paying my student loans. I'm like that's I'm nobody to be like going in your pocket. So you do what you need to do, but
yeah.
just your credit is jacked up, then just because you student loans.
Oh, definitely.
So how's it like being the program director of a MSW program?
So the worst part about it is you have to do a lot, and the best part about it is you get to do pretty much everything. So, it's the world, whatever flavor of cake you want, you can have, but you have to make it yourself. But so for me, I had just come out of LaSalle University and had just gone on sort of a taking the like lower end of their curriculum and trying to redesign as many courses as possible to be to use free openly licensed or zero textbook cost resources, to take a look at some of the assignments to try and make them more renewable, to try and use some digital pedagogy and stuff. So it just sort of come out of that project. And yeah, taking on an entire MSW curriculum has been a big lift, but I'm very grateful in that the program, they had gotten some consultants before I started there, so I wasn't starting from scratch.
Mm,
And so, there was sort of like a basic social work program that really just needed like leadership and like a vision for the program and like a sort of like a theoretical perspective and like a sense of what to do next with it.
gotcha. How long has the MSW program been in existence at the school?
This is our first semester where we've had students.
Wow. How's
Weirdly
that?
enough, it's so weird, man. Like, I don't know how like in academic culture you are, but like there were no social work faculty here before me.
Mm,
But like a lot of places that are adding an MSW program, adding a BSW program, there's usually some social workers there. But so, we're located in a school of education, leadership, counseling, and social work. So they started a counseling program after the merger between our university, which is like a traditional small, like Catholic liberal arts university, with the University of the Sciences, which is the exact opposite of that.
mm,
Hard science, mostly like professional degrees, like that sort of stuff. So those two institutions merged, and we were sort of like, what if both of these things came together? And like, so I think we are. I think some of the challenges from that come from like placement, internship, practicums are very different in education. I know that it is not an easy process, but educators go to one place, counselors go to one type of place, and
mm-hmm.
social workers go everywhere.
Right.
And so there's not as much like community building, professional practice, community engagement, and like, so I think like longer term, like one of the things that like one of the things that I'd like look forward to building is like a little bit more space for some of that work. Where it's been awesome is because there has been no social work, there's just unorganized resources.
Mm,
Like I have been tripping over hidden social workers that are placed in human service positions, which no one told me about when I was hired.
mm,
And then I got told about like a bunch of graduate assistantships that like could function as social work practicums that could come with like tuition reimbursement and stuff like that. So like I was able to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do, like from like being grounded in payments for placements and stuff like that in this environment. And no one had really thought that like that was and it was using existing resources. So ultimately, it sort of was, I feel like I was just sort of very lucky in that I ended up in a situation in which the existing resources to create something like this already existed. It just sort of needed
mm-hmm.
somebody to put them together in like a ultra long Word document.
Gotcha. How's been the feedback so far with the students in the program?
It's been good. So we don't have very many students. We only have a handful of students at the moment.
Okay.
It turns out that starting a program in April is not great for August enrollment. Not not like your best idea. At the same time, it's nice. We're in our first year, so the accreditation cycle is 3 years. Most people are looking for a social work degree, probably in a little bit shorter of a time period.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, oh, I totally lost the track of your question. I'm sorry, man.
No, no, basically like just like feedback of other students and like you're at the right track because usually students want go to school. Like I know I did 3 years and that those 3 years flew by like so fast. Even though there were times it was like it can't come soon enough. But yeah, like 1 or 2 years there's like accelerated programs or extra accelerated programs out there. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I think so. I've been at programs that are like that like say that they're designed for like working students, but then they're like 15 credits a semester. You have to do an unpaid internship, and we are designed for people working full time. That
Mm,
math does not add up. So like I weirdly like this school like is they you're not allowed to take that many classes as a graduate student. So you have to request permission to take above like 9 credits in a semester.
oh wow.
And that's not a thing that's unique to the MSW program. That is sort of where I was, coming from. The other
Mm,
thing is that, like, for financial aid, as we sort of talked about loans and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Again, this is not a me policy, but like for us, the what the university designates as full time and part time really makes a big determination in how much financial aid you get from the government
Right,
and
of
like your
course.
ability to like not have to take out private loans or credit cards and stuff like that. So by setting the full-time rate at 6 credits per semester, you can ensure that students almost always are meeting that maximum during their MSW program, even if they are what you would normally consider part-time based on that like 15 credit hour requirement.
Hmm.
So those are not innovations that I came up with. Those
Right.
were existing graduate school policies I looked into. And so it just sort of seemed like a really natural values meet,
Hmm.
just to create a program that tries to address some of the education equity issues.
Right, of course, especially I heard countless stories of people who were working for full time and literally had to stop working. It's like they get a degree, and it's like, it's just hard. And I know for myself, when I graduated, went to school 2007, graduated 2010, and having my counselor, or whatever, field instructor, whatever you want to call him, was like, I can't help you. It's like, but I got like four friends who work full time and they got internships where you can't help me. And it's like this school need to give me my money back.
So that's ultimately, I think, what it is. And one of the things I like about being a program director at a new program is that social work accreditation rules, especially around practicums, changed a lot during the pandemic.
Mm,
And those rules have stuck around. And what has not changed as much are the norms and program manuals for a lot of these programs. So, although it is far, like, before the pandemic, CSWE prohibited your employer from paying you for your like internship hours.
mhm.
You could do your internship at your employer, but you had to do separate hours. That
Right,
60
right.
hour a week ridiculous thing that no one ever did. Um, well, no one ever did 60 hours. But during the pandemic, they allowed you to like say like, all right, well, this part, or you can get paid for the whole thing. It could be a new job, or you can do
Mm,
some paid tasks and unpaid tasks. And so what that allows us to do is, because we don't place students in their practicum in their first semester here, to have a more honest conversation about internship or practicum or placement,
mm,
to think about like internship opportunities alongside work opportunities and entry level job opportunities, to think about them alongside of stipend based opportunities as well, just ones that we have internally. But yeah, it's a different conversation, and I think one of the most absolutely rewarding parts of this are like, it's the scary part is using forms that you wrote yourself on with students, but the most rewarding part is when they work. And so, like, our first advising appointment is not just like, what classes are you taking, academic goals, and stuff like
mm,
that, but like, what's your schedule? Like, what are we thinking about for practicum? How can we sort of,
mm.
what are your work responsibilities, care responsibilities, and really trying to build in that professional development advising, like, from the first day. And that is such a different conversation. Like,
No, of
I got to
course.
do my first session with, or first like field placement interview with some LCSWs in New Jersey who are placing one of our students who is currently a registered behavioral tech at
Mm,
the agency, and they don't have a social work department, but because they like this person, they're willing to like count some of their paid hours and then
mm,
create this unpaid section, which is a lot more in line with what social work sort of was. Is like, that's like a service, that's something that these
right.
that these LCSWs are doing for the student because she's awesome and deserves it, and like it's going to be a great opportunity for them and for everybody about a project they want to do. And they're also sort of acknowledging that like the service work that she's currently doing, like the human service work that she's doing, is also something that can be incorporated into a practicum experience. So
Yeah,
making sure that people just don't do the same thing every single time and then you're done,
right, of
but
course.
also trying to make sure that like people's basic needs and well-being are sort of maintained throughout that, because you can't actually teach burnt out students. I've really tried.
No, no, absolutely, and just society's kind of like burnt out. Just in, we all mentioned many times on the podcast. We all got this PTSD from pandemic, and we're now seeing the after effects of what that looks like for different people, and it's a lot happening right now all at once, and add to that, the wars that are happening currently, and genocides that are happening currently, and on top of myself having family in Puerto Rico that's like, and just constant things that are happening with the local government, and that's happening there. So it's just life is lifing all over the world, literally, or at the same time. So it's an interesting time we're currently living currently throughout the world.
I'm so glad you mentioned like Puerto Rico. I didn't realize you had that connection. I'm so sorry. There was a student who had just got in contact with me. I don't want to talk about it too much, but like, she had talked about an experience that she had there. She was trying to transfer into St. Joe's, and like, she like was in a school in Puerto Rico, was unable to do her internship because she had to like move to the States for whatever reason, and they weren't allowing her to do internships remotely, not like just like virtually like do that, or to just do it at a different state and be
Mm.
supervised either by somebody who's licensed anyway. So I think, the point of all of that is I feel like in that this kind of environment there are people who respond like humans, and there are people who are just sort of who can't, maybe don't have the capacity to do that in that moment. Yeah, I'm really grateful for the kind of the support that I've gotten over the past year. I know one of your questions is how was 2023, and it was helpful for
Well,
that,
what?
identifying supports.
No, no, yeah, absolutely. How have you thought about ways to recruit more students into the program, or ways to get more students enrolled in the program?
Yes, I mean, I feel like the dean, if I send him this, will be very mad if I said no. They they really do want more students in the class. I do too. So we have a couple of things that we are trying. One is to really start advertising ourselves as a zero textbook cost program, to try and advertise ourselves as somebody who like does critical digital pedagogy, and one where like students will be authoring things that are used in the community and have impact beyond that. One of the other sort of main things that we do as part of our like strategic plan for like paid practicums is we have two fellowship programs, one of which is through the Alliance for Catholic Education. So that one offers a free advanced standing MSW degree,
Mm,
but it does require 2 years of service inside of the Philly community. So at this point, I think we are trying to reach out to students who are at VSW programs that don't have MSW programs, especially ones at Catholic schools, because it does require residency in Philly, because like you'd be going and doing work at these places. It is free housing and it does pay you. So
mm,
our that is sort of one of our experiences. We're hoping to get up to 4 students in that one, and then the other one we are hoping to get, preferably up to 10 students enrolled in that one. So that is through the Kennedy Center for Autism as well as the PACE program for people with IDD. And that is
oh, nice.
doing both like, so that is basically a part-time job that functions as your practicum and also gives you 6 credits of free tuition. So it's some way of trying to like combine paid practicums, paid tuition, and trying to give students a sort of leg up when they get into the job market, and a little bit more moxie than maybe I was given when when I graduated back in 2010.
If you're comfortable saying this, you'd be like, I was just on a top 10 social work podcast in the world talking about how to recruit social work students into St. Joe. So there you go.
Wait, what? I missed that. Can you say it again? I'm so sorry.
I said you could tell your dean
That was
if
a
you're
good thing to do.
comfortable. And like I was just on
Yeah,
a top social work podcast in the entire world related to social work, talking about how to recruit
absolutely.
students to St.
Mhm.
Joe's Master's Social Work program. And
Good
he's
joke,
local.
but
And he's local.
uh,
I'm only an hour and change away from the university.
right on, man. I mean, so the other cool thing about being sort of an online school is that we do get to do like cool critical, like, or we get to do like cool community events. So like we've been able to attend, like when Alan Detlef did his virtual lecture at in Philly, we were able to attend that. We went to the social work activist collective meeting on labor rights organizing and social work, and that was our social work ethics and organizations class. So like we're
Mm.
able to do some of these like cool non-traditional classes because we are sort of an more what's it called? Yeah, because we're an online program.
Oh, nice. No, you mentioned residency, well, different type of ways you're trying to get students to come. One, which kind of leads me to a perfect segue in terms of just Philly from, and again, it's only like from reported on the news. I take it as a great assault. What I see on the news and you know different news outlets. So Philly is I'm like an hour and change from Philly, so I have like my main news source comes from Philly because it's the biggest major city close to where I live at. So, um, and with a brand new elected mayor, and there's a lot of issues, at least controversial stuff that she wants to do for the city, whether it be good or bad, who knows? Like you gotta sometimes think outside the box. And social workers, we are 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 the heads of the table in terms of thinking outside the box and kind of give us something this small and we make it this big and we make it work with little resources and we just do it. We just do the damn thing. So all that to say, like, you know
The work has to get done.
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot happening in Philly currently, as and how do and as a brand new program, how do you like kind of with all political aspect, not just in Philly, but there's a kind of relatively new governor who's only been in office like a year and change, almost 2 years now. And so there's just Pennsylvania's a lot happening, and Philly's a lot happening, and the country's a lot happening. Like, how is a brand new MSW program kind of like put all that together and kind of help shape and mold future MSW students and also uh, future social workers when they graduate. Hello, social work. Welcome to the social work world.
So one of the places that I sort of went to when you asked this question is the accreditation process kind of asks this, and it's one of the things I didn't know before I started a program, which is like you have to justify the existence of your program within the community that you're in. So you have to like
Mm,
make some local arguments about why social work is needed, this program is necessary, and stuff like that. So like you're not asking me stuff that I didn't already have to sort of think about. So like I yeah, it was just not a part of like the accreditation process I had really thought about or knew existed. So for us, I think some of the ways in which we try to address that are through just integrating anti-racism throughout course design. So, you know, a lot of my experiences this semester are going to be filtered through social work ethics because we are, you know, that's what I taught this semester. So, for
mm,
example, like in addition to introducing the code of ethics, you know, you have to start off with CSWE's apology and NASW's apology and talk about the ways in which social work hasn't necessarily lived up to those things. So you have a
mm,
more critical sense of those documents from the beginning and to give students a clearer sense of like ethical dilemmas that are imminent
mm,
and things that are happening right now. So for like examples around either local politics based on like either like my practice, my wife's practice, or like people that we know. The other bit of it is I love MSW students a lot, but all of them want to be clinicians, and that's super cool. And I love clinical work too. But like I think it's a really big it's a really big mission of mine to introduce all of my MSW students to as many different ways to address the same damn problem as
mm,
possible. So, you know, when you're thinking about like child abuse and stuff like that for our like generalist students, like a lot of them, this is their first social work class. So like they're
mm,
thinking about it like what therapy do I do? And like that's part of it, but like the other parts of it are like we like invited a discussant who like works with like community organizing among like adolescent kids in Philadelphia, and
mm.
like that's not group therapy, but you're getting the outcomes that might come
Right.
from a group therapy session, but it's actually social transformation. And then so thinking about like ways to sort of integrate that kind of anti-oppressive practice into the classroom and trying to create a curriculum that does not actively lie to students.
I love that, and that's huge because shoot, I literally saw IG live as of this recording yesterday. Had a shout out to we affectionately called cousin Kim and Joy. I call her the Godmother of Social Work podcast, and they did an IG live and had talked about the same exact issue that students and they want to go into private practice. I'm like, you need all this foundation before you you even try to go into private practice because you're gonna be dealing with a lot of case management stuff, and if you don't know how to fill a
Mhm.
Medicaid application or know how to do ACA Obamacare through healthcare.org, and especially this is crunch time for that. Like the person's not number one, you're gonna lose a client because they're not gonna have insurance. Number two, they're gonna look at you kind of crazy because like I don't think I want to come back because you don't know what the heck you're doing because I need this application to have insurance. So it's like,
Right.
it's a lose lose for you. So
Yeah.
you might as well like is all this stuff foundation stuff like child welfare. I learned so much in child welfare that it took years later to like as much as I like trashed out the agency in my head, like is and everything, and all the turnover that happened throughout my 3 years that I was there. But I learned so much, like job security. I learned, substance abuse, like mental health, like diagnosis. Learn about freaking 5, 6, 7 year old kids should not be on Paxil medication and like all all these different things, and is like it kind of led to like landing the next job right after that, which was in a mental health type of setting. So it kind of like the foundation was all there. And true, I learned in child welfare that I see all these supervisors with MSWs is like, dang, if I want to be a supervisor, I guess I gotta get an MSW. So that's the only reason I even went back to school for that. So it's like I
That's
didn't make
about
some
right.
more money. So so all this stuff is like you have to learn like basics, and there's different ways to do it. And I understand we are all beyond burnt out and we want to help, and but um we gotta learn basic fundamentals before clinical stuff because you're really gonna be burned out extra quick and just hear somebody's life story, and it's like you don't got no tools initially. It's like I can't do it.
Mhm.
And then you
Yeah,
wasted all
man.
this
Like I
money
think
going to grad school, and then you're like out of the field, and now you got to pay back these loans, and like, so
hmm
it's a whole cycle.
so I think students really start off like trusting. They trust that the system is set up in a way that makes sense and that is sustainable for them. And, it's not designed to reward that trust.
No,
I think
absolutely.
one of the things, I don't know whether it should come before clinical education or not, but like the cruel joke of it is you're going to get promoted, and so you're going to be in charge of the math and the numbers and the admin and the advocacy and all of that stuff. Also, the cruel joke of stop ASWB organizing is you're now trying to organize clinical social workers. Is all of those clinicians are now trying to engage in mass social organizing efforts in their states to try and address these issues. So it all comes full circle, like you said.
No, yeah, absolutely. And and people will learn that just because you got a L, would it be LM, LC, LIC, or whatever that first L is, it don't matter. Like it's just, I've had plenty of people who got that L and like are not great social workers. So it's just uh it's just a lot going on happening within the field and on top of what's happening throughout the world. So there's a lot going on. um
Absolutely, man. I'm very much looking forward to the break.
I don't blame you. So on a personal level for you, Matthew, you mentioned 2023 earlier, and no, man, when I ask that question, I usually ask I guess call it person centered for your own yourself with your well being. How was 2023 like for you? Just take your take your title from the university out. How was Matthew in 2023?
It's like that last lap of Mario Kart where the music gets twice as fast, except it's been the whole year. Uh, yeah, it's been that. Oh, other childish metaphors. I have I do I I don't know if you watched the movie Zootopia. There's the song "Try Everything" by Shakira.
Okay,
It
yeah, I
is
saw
a
that.
wonderful motto, and so I think like it has been a year where I have tried a lot of different new things, and I am starting to see the benefits of a lot of those. And my hope is for 2024 to be like the sort of wisdom to be able to like balance all of those things now.
Mm.
And so this has been a year of striving. Hopefully next year is a year of sort of balancing things out.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I did want to I touch on political relates to specifically Philly. I know I touched on it briefly, but we got a new elected mayor, like I mentioned before. Like kind of like what have you seen, or if have you seen anything that kind of you think might have to like reach out, how that affects your school at all, or just kind of like maybe have like an idea for the students that you have currently, like kind of like provide that education, kind of wait and see of like what the new administration is going to do, how it affects the policy is going to affect, and how that relates to social work, and kind of see all that. If that question make any
And
sense?
I feel like no, it really did. That's not what the look was. The look was I feel so guilty because I don't like I feel like a bad social worker. I'm a macro social worker too. I don't know any of the answers to these questions, man. Like I haven't paid attention to the Philly Mayor's race at all. Like I should have. I had like I yeah. Like
And it's
I sort of checked
okay.
out on it. Sorry,
It
man.
is okay. I think part of it, from COVID, I think that's part. I think people are just a lot of people like kind of like checked out from news, and it's like I know for myself, I had to because I was like well, just weather, it was just sports, and now and I could especially weather because I didn't trust my phone. To like, are you
Uh-huh.
telling the truth or what's gonna happen? And so I just watch, and then that's it. Like I don't need to hear anything news related. I'll just go on Twitter or like Instagram. And even then, it was like I don't need to see like police involved shooting or somebody getting killed by police. First thing I open the app, like I just want to see like fun goofy stuff, and then I'm seeing all this traumatic stuff from like 7:30 in the morning while looking at my phone while like getting ready for work, and it's like it was just a lot kind of like all happening. So yeah, all that to say is like I've had other guests too. Is like I don't know what's going on. It could and that's okay, but at the same time, like we had to know what's going on because why is this happening? And kind of like the politicians are making it potentially making things worse, making our jobs
I
harder.
know, like I they finally passed the budget though, right? So we got all that money for social work internships. I need to double
Mm,
check whether it was in there. But I know it's only for accredited programs, so we're still undergoing accreditation. But
mm.
there was like hundreds of millions of dollars going towards paid practicums. So I think, yeah, at least on the state level, there's a ton of opportunities for like growth and like a lot of good positive directions. um, like in my local area, we kept Moms for Liberty out of the school board, which was good. Um,
What is that?
but Moms for Liberty,
Yeah.
they are the people promoting banning the use or banning like LGBT friendly books
Oh
or
no.
social justice books or quote unquote woke books in public libraries and schools. And yeah, they had yeah, if you haven't heard about, it's in Bucks County somewhere.
Okay,
Their
that's
school
why I
board,
thought.
yeah, their school board just had a big thing.
We
Ours,
still
I
talking
think
about
we
PA,
didn't
folks.
we didn't have any of that. Sorry.
No, but all
uh,
that, no, all that to say, no, that I mean that's happening, throughout the country, and I've had friends who live in PA, and PA is like the South. It's almost like Philadelphia versus the world in a way.
that's a cultural thing too. Like, I realize those cultural, cultural stuff is related to it, but Philly's got an attitude.
Yeah.
I'm from Jersey originally, so
Okay.
I also have an attitude. Uh, but it's something special in Philly.
No, it is just drive by, and it's like you can kind of just. No, I always heard of Philly as being like kind of like a poor like major city, or something like that,
Yeah,
but kind of like see, Northeast Philly, where a lot of like Hispanic population is. That's where I usually go, if it's not like South Philly for a sporting event or a wrestling event, and kind of really see the disparities is kind of out there, that area. And there's a lot of great organizations, know along that strip, and finding out that Philly, the city, wants to close down public libraries for kids. So it's like have these like,
they're gone.
yeah,
None of the
exactly.
schools have them.
So it's like, a couple bookstores that are available to the community, but as public libraries, they're closed, and it's just a lot happening within the city. And obviously the crime, like I mentioned earlier, from what the news has been reporting, and like I haven't seen it in person, thank goodness, but just for what I it's just a lot happening, and it's happening throughout the U.S., and I'm sure it's happening in different parts of throughout the world as well. We mentioned earlier, so it's just for a thriving MSW program to come in, that's much needed in an area that really needs it, and to provide good work and potential, good social workers in an area that really needs all the support it can. It's the future. I say the future is bright. Uh, at least for social work in Philly, I can't say about their teens, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what keeps me coming back is like the students that we are teaching now would not the students that are active as MSW students right now would not take what I took back in the day. And so teaching them is different. The
mm,
workforce that they are going to create is different. And so like that is both like a responsibility and just like an endless source of like joy and like pleasure to like just be a part of.
mm.
So yeah, it is usually just more like throwing resources at students who like want to do good work. Um, yeah. Uh, I think you talked a little bit about the sort of the area. What always comes up is Kensington for social
Yes,
work, because that's
Kensington. Yes.
synonymous. Because that's what's synonymous with Philly for like everybody. And so, coming from a housing first background, coming from a harm reduction background, like I have a very, very, very clear sense of what I think social work action looks like in that area. And I don't know, what the future of social work action looks like. I don't know what if there's a future for that kind of work there. I also am just sort of like I'm overwhelmed by the amount of money that goes to payments about services rather than to the people who actually need those services.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Purdue Pharma monies that are coming in are going to like universities. They're going to like stuff and they're going to do prevention programs, and prevention programs are good and stuff like that. But do we need to design a 50th prevention program?
Right.
Or like should we just be giving money to people who need it so that they don't have to use some, yeah, anyway. So
That'd be a
I
whole other
think
topic
those are
for
the things that I think about. Yeah, so yeah, just open that up at the end. No. But yeah, I think those are the things that keep me sort of a little bit less optimistic. People, yeah, I don't know. I hope that
No,
makes
it
sense.
is, and you mentioned Kensington with, so it's been on at least on the local news a lot, and I'm sure maybe occasionally on national news something extra happens there. Is just been a lot of a lot of crime happening and just constant that's been reported on not just one network, local Philly network, but just multiple networks that cover Philly. And there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And I mentioned the mayor and the newly elected mayor that's going to be starting in January, and she wants to put the National Guard up in there to take care
Oh
of
God, I'm so glad I didn't get involved in this. I have to read this now. Thank you for
potentially.
telling me. Oh.
So there's all these
Is she
policies
trying to do the same thing
policies.
they're doing in New York City where they're forcibly committing people?
I haven't heard that part yet, but I don't know. So it's funny. I'm from New York City in the Bronx, and when I first moved down and seeing all this stuff
Hey,
happening in Philly, and it's like, did I move like still? Am I still in New York? Or, like
right on. My
that
dad's from
is
the Bronx, actually.
okay. So like so it's like it's just it's eerily similar. And just in so many ways. So it's a lot happening, and we need the social workers as much as we can in there. Obviously, need funding and got pay people, and with the times that we live, like you gotta really pay people to work in those type of areas because
Hmm. I
it'd be a
think
lot.
it is. So, but the cool thing, I mean, the transformation that needs to happen in the social work workforce is larger than what we have right now. But we have so many of the resources that we need to do that. Like we have the ability to do that. I think it's one of the things that excites me about being at a new program is that you can do things that are like very like explicitly allowed under new standards, but maybe like were less favored under traditional norms. And as long as you are able to sort of construct that, you're able to design a program that does meet students sort of with what they need. And you don't have to like fundraise so that every student gets like a minimum wage job from the university as their practicum. You can try and sort of use the stuff that's already available in your state or in your community or at your school to try and like make that stuff happen and to try and set students up so that like they know what to do when they graduate and like how to sort of set themselves up for professional success.
What one last question? What are and this could be you can answer it individually and professionally, but goal and you touched on this already a little bit, but goals for 2024.
Um, I got two professional ones, so I'd be have to pass their site visit and recruit a new faculty member. So if you know anybody, they have to have a doctorate, DSW or PhD. Come apply, come play with us. It's gonna be real fun. Come create a new program. Um, but yeah, the biggest one for me for next year is figuring out the way to do the things that I'm doing currently for as long as possible. And that's my goal for right now because I feel like really home at home with where I'm at and what I'm doing. I just need to figure out a way to make it like sustainable and healthy.
What I know I said one last question, but like, you triggered another. Why are MSW programs that you in order to be like faculty or at least full time faculty or even part time? I've seen you need a DSW to even
Definitely. I
apply
know
for the
one of your
program.
questions was also around like how to, yeah. So it's their accreditation requirements for an MSW program. At minimum, you need four doctorally trained faculty.
Mm,
So the minimum that like a university is going to pay for the new one is the like once you get more
gotcha.
people, you can have people who are MSWs who are part of that faculty. But on the BSW level, that's not a thing. So
Mm.
those requirements are a little bit less. So if you're at a school that has both or a larger MSW program, you're going to not have as many of those requirements for those positions. But there's also a ton of precarity and adjunctification and like part-timeism inside of academia. And so, there's also that to keep a watch out for.
Right. I've seen that a lot online and between Instagram and LinkedIn too. So It is what it is.
Yes, I am
I was
a
just wondering, in case
visiting
somebody who
clinical.
have the credentials and they thinking about going into academia, for anybody who's listening or watching, and like, why is that? Why is that the case? And to have peers, good peers who are getting their DSWs now, and potentially would want to work at an up and coming MSW program and kind of get back to the profession and do stuff correctly, and like get the clinical nonsense out of your head. We're gonna do the basics. Let's go.
The cruelty of the DSW is it's not paid though. At least I mean, so for PhDs, I wasn't paid much, but like the Virginia taxpayer picked up at least part of my bill.
Mm,
DSW programs are another one of those like big drivers of debt, and there's sort of equity issues around that too. But yeah, like it's not good. If it were up to me, those requirements would be a lot more flexible. But yeah, functionalism is what it is, man.
right. Where can people find you?
I left Twitter, man.
I don't
I had to
blame you.
leave. So I miss social work Twitter a lot. I wish Mastodon were as good. I'm there. You can follow me on Mastodon at Prof Matt DeCarlo at
I don't even
mastodon.online.
know what that
Not
is.
many people do. It is the open source, free, ad free, entirely community run alternative to Twitter. That The other option is Blue Sky. I'm not on that yet. You can also find me on Instagram. I don't. I think I'm DeCarlo.Matt. And then, yeah, I'm also on YouTube, and LinkedIn is probably where I'm going to be doing most of my posting at this point. You can find me at Matthew DeCarlo.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I slacked off for a little bit. I was on it. Then like COVID came, and I was like off the radar, and like let me make a post here and there, just like like Ric Flair used to say, "I'm not dead yet." Like,
I love it. Yeah, like I never got into LinkedIn. It was never a thing I had to do. And then I realized that it's the probably the best way I'm ever going to be able to keep in touch with alumni, because
yeah,
the alumni office doesn't keep in touch with anybody.
yeah, it's crazy. And St. Joe's
It's
has
hard to
good
track people down, but
alumni.
they do. That's our best part. Is like most of our students come from our undergraduate programs,
I I
and so
I
um,
actually saw one
yeah,
of their famous alumni like literally a couple weeks ago. Did he go? Am I confusing him? Did Jameer Nelson play for St. Joe's back in the day? I think
I
he went
don't
to either
know. I'm
St.
so
Joe's
sorry.
or I hope he went to UMass. Anyway, whatever. So like they do. My point is they do have good alumni that's not related to social work
Yeah.
that could be donors that can help a building MSW program in Philly that needs it. So
Hey,
that's
you
the
gave me
point.
some ideas, man. Who wants an endowed chair?
On
Awesome.
that note, Matthew, thank you so much for an engaging conversation. Best of luck with the university and building up the program. And by all means, you need a network. Like I'm around.
Awesome. Thank you for creating this institution. I hope you know that it is a resource that like I know that I will return to, I will encourage my students to return to, and then I get to build into my courses now.
Hey, looking forward to that.
Cool.